From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Bill, guess what?
What?
We did the Sentinel. We did the Sentinel.
We did.
How
did you like it?
You know what? We were talking about the Sentinel.
We have.
It was great. We understood watching how the Sentinel works, but we finally got it into our car, and I got to tell you, that was really awesome. I was able to see every one of my mistakes.
We have hours of them.
We have hours of my mistakes,
Right.
but we have hours of good stuff too, which is awesome. It actually showed us the speed. Did it show us where we were on track?
We were streaming it
We were streaming it live.
We're boring billions of people across the world.
But it was pretty incredible. Plus, on it, you're able to put your insignia, your logos on your app also, and the clarity was amazing. It was really easy to put in, easier than I thought it was.
I know, you kept making a big deal out of it. I'm like, it's really not that hard. Until we focused on it, it wasn't too bad. And then we got some help.
No.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You know what? I like the stream because some of the tracks we go to don't have great cell phone coverage, but it's got a USB stick backup. So I just uploaded the high quality video without the cellular interruption. So if you watched us earlier and said, wow, they got from there to there really quickly, you can watch the real video and see that no, we didn't. It's just a cell phone went out. But
yeah. So the learning curve for me, obviously, I'm slightly techno-Amish.
Slightly.
When it comes to the wiring and stuff like that, but we get it in and I love it. We were able to sit there right at the track and watch what we were doing in the car. And that was amazing.
Which was good because if you have a problem with your radio, you can tell, if something is going on that you need to know about. Like a couple times we've had cars come in and we didn't know they were broken. And I know it's hard to imagine one of our cars being broken, but whatever. But you can watch the video, and even with the cell phone coverage we had at that particular event, it was like a 30-second delay. So it wasn't bad. And you can compare multiple drivers because you have each of the stints are broken up. So we got to work on not only our driving, but if we wanted to, we could work on our pit stops and see exactly what we do. And there's some things that we need to talk about as a team. And it was pretty good. Like I said, it takes me, once we got the wiring hooked up for the power, I probably could go from an empty shell to a full up setup running Sentinel. I could probably do that in like 20 minutes. So you could literally install it in a car before a race. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And we got to see the driver and the front windshield. And if we want to, we can have three. We can see backwards. Or one of the guys we were going to work with at the upcoming event, he said, could you put a camera on the driver's eyes so we could see what they're looking at? I said, why, yes, I can. Haven't done it yet, but I'll figure it out. We've got time.
Well, I love it.
All right. Very well. That sounds like I can buy another one then. Woo!
Dominating with Dawson.
Miss Vicki.
Yes.
We don't have Ben, but we have Jeremy.
Yeah, we're going to have, we may have to start thinking about doing a Jeremy segment on car repair, mechanical stuff, and instruction. Seems like we might be working that way.
That's fine. There's endless things we don't know about fixing cars, but Jeremy.
There's endless things I don't know about fixing cars as well.
That's right. So Jeremy, we are about to go to couples counseling with Dr. Jeremy. One of the things that we argue about incessantly, over and over, every single race.
Let me make a guess.
What to pack for spares?
We do. We do.
I was close.
We do. Okay. All right.
Don't worry, we'll get to that
Okay,
one too.
so my issue is weight and extra. Like I'm all about more about streamlining. Yes.
And my issue is we're paying several $1,000s to go to the racetrack, and I'm not going to be not racing because of a $4 part that I have sitting at my home waiting for me.
Okay. So, Jeremy,
Tell her I'm right, Jeremy.
what is the best way of packing and the to-dos and to-brings?
So in all the years, when we first started this amazing journey into racing lemons,
It is amazing.
we used to try to bring everything we could possibly think of. So therefore our trailer would be loaded, our truck would be loaded. Sometimes we had what we called a support trailer, which was a second trailer that we towed with all kinds of other things into it.
Second car.
Yep. So we realized that there was a lot of things that we wouldn't even touch in a whole race season.
I realized that too.
We started minimalizing the things that we were bringing to the track in terms of everything, honestly. Our extra pop-up tents, our extra, we don't need 4 chairs for each person. Just things that we didn't need, extra tools that we never touched.
Oh, you're going there.
Engine stands,
Welder.
cherry pickers.
What?
No, we still bring the
engine
welder.
hoist.
Yep, the engine hoist.
Somebody's going to bring one. I don't need to
engine
bring mine.
hoist for us older people. We used to call it a cherry picker. I don't know why that term was ever around, but that's just what I grew up. Everybody called it. So it's tough because you have to figure out what your team needs. Go ahead, Bill.
What I try to do is I try and bring everything that normally is considered like could go wrong or wear parts, the standard stuff. But I draw the line at we're not going to do that at the track. Like we're not going to rebuild an engine at the track. So we're not bringing all our precision tools and everything to redo that with a spare block and all the gaskets and fittings and AN fittings and everything. We're just not going to. We're just going to say, okay, that was fun. Let's go have fun in the paddock with our friends because this race is over. But I don't want to have, an incident where the front left caliper gets broken and we're out for the race weekend in practice on Friday because of a caliper, which I can easily carry. So Vicky's concern is that we're bringing too much. My response is we have a 10,000-pound trailer now. We have a 24-foot trailer now, and we're carrying a 12-pound Honda Civic. So I can bring anything I want.
Well, no, I think my biggest pet peeve of it, and I'm not trying to start an argument. My husband, I love you very, very much.
You say tools, I'm going to kill you.
Tools. It's tools.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary tools, unnecessary sockets and socket sizes that we will never use.
So here's the thing. And I used to always have a huge toolbox at the track with every possible tool.
Now you're bragging.
I mean, we have like all this. We have a set of sockets for like. I literally made my husband take out the US freedom sockets.
Yeah,
I
the
made, I'm
SAE
like,
sockets. I mean,
as
almost
a
nothing.
person who works on cars, I have never used these.
No.
Bet me- bet
And
me.
most modern cars from the 80s
I haven't.
are all metric anyway. But it's tough. So my rule of thumb with tools has been, if we haven't touched it in at least 2 races, we're not going to need it.
Mhm.
And if we need it, if for some reason something goes on and we actually need that, there are other teams at the track that we could always ask, because I've loaned out a lot of tools to people that, because I had them with me. Now, tools weigh a significant amount. They are very, very heavy, especially once you get a bigger toolbox and you start putting everything in it. You don't need 14 pairs of, 14 pliers. There's probably realistically 3 pliers will be sufficient. You don't need 4 sets of wrenches. 1 set of wrenches is very sufficient.
What I'm finding is that, of course, working on the Honda, is that I'm only using certain sockets all the time.
Right.
And they could be 5 sockets. Out of that whole set, I mostly focus on 5 sockets.
Which size?
Because
quarter,
for the
quarter
sizes.
inch, 3/8, half.
Well, no. I'm saying that
Wobble?
I don't use a
Impact?
6. I don't use a 6. I don't use I think it's, let me see. I don't use a 15.
So
But do you know what
good
I
to
mean?
have them though. If you have the fuel, the socket rail, right? It's
Right.
good to have, especially quarter inch. You usually have like 7 mil to 15 millimeter, right? In quarter inch,
Mhm. Right.
3/8 drive. You usually have 10 to 19.
Yeah,
Half
10 to
inch.
19, 10 to 20, whatever.
Yeah. Now half inch is where it gets a little weird, right? I don't typically carry an entire set of half-inch sockets because we use typically a 17, a 19, a 21, a 22, right? So most of the stuff you're going to do at the track, you work on these vehicles all the time, right? It's not like a rusted vehicle that's been driven on the road all the time where you're going to need a big impact gun to get stuff loose. Typically, you're using 3/8 drive for everything. So if you have a set of 3/8 drive rails, you're good to go.
What about
So
chrome versus impact versus wobble versus?
If you have one swivel for 3/8 and a swivel for a quarter drive, typically, you don't need a full set of swivel sockets. We just have a swivel and a 3/8 and a quarter drive. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time to figure out, what you need. Our team is still constantly changing our toolbox in terms of the things that we actually need to bring to the track. We're trying to drop weight in the trailer and trying to lessen the amount of things we have to unload and load onto the trailer, and just bring the essentials of what we actually need to work on. Right now, it's El Jefe. Now, our tools are going to change once we start bringing the truck, the BMW, and the Volkswagen. The tools are going to start to change because we're going to need to start adding more stuff in for that different vehicle. But if you have one vehicle that you're bringing to the track and you're racing, it over time, my suggestion is that you figure out what you need, what you're using, and leave the rest of the stuff at home.
See, I made the toolbox for the cars we had, which was at the time Jefe, a BMW, a Civic, and a Miata.
Which is
Almost
that's going to give you a lot of different things because each individual car you're using different stuff on.
Right.
But in terms of the basic things,
there's car specific tools we haven't even talked about, like
correct.
The weird 46 millimeter that you need for BMW. And I'm sure Volkswagen has their own set of, wonderful things.
Yeah. Axle socket nuts and various different things. But specialty tools are kind of a different thing. But for the most part, in terms of your general tools, a set of 3/8, a set of quarter drive, you could even bring a set of half-inch stuff, a set of wrenches, a hammer or 2.
Screwdrivers.
screwdrivers, a set of screwdrivers.
We have a kitchen sink that could be greatly thinned out, because tools are heavy, but tools are heavy in addition to, and I know we say tools, but tools are heavy in addition to everything else that's there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we can thin out a lot of the just in case, because I think of the just in case could be, for as many times as we race per year at this point, we can go find, whatever.
And that's where our team has gotten to as well. It's, if we do need something weird, we can either make do with what we have, or we could run around and ask people. There's always 100+ teams at the racetrack, and chances are somebody's got something
like us.
Like us,
I like being that person.
We are that person.
I like being that person.
It is awesome. It is fun. And I have a teammate who used to yell at me, Jeremy, you don't need to be the guy that's supplying everything for everybody. Like, we're here to race. We're here to have fun. It is nice to help people. And we have no problem with helping everybody. But last year I had a lot of tools that were loaned out, and not maliciously, but they didn't come back.
Right.
So
that's why we stopped taking our Sonic box.
I was out a fair amount of money last year in tools because, I never saw them again. So we've gotten to the point in the tool section, and we could have a whole, 3-hour conversation about tools, but my suggestion is that you thin down, you figure out what you're using for the particular car that you're bringing to the racetrack, and you try to thin it down as much as possible. And you'll find out if you do that, you'll find out that you didn't need all those things, and you find a clever way to make do with what you have, even if you don't have 100% the correct thing.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about other things that we have in the trailer, say car supply.
Right.
Parts.
So, now, I don't think that we should be hauling radiator hoses if we know that we have fresh radiator hoses, or if
one radiator hose going to put us overweight driving down?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm using that as an example for stuff that is fresh on the car that is not anticipated to go.
Right. So the way, and again, everybody has their own idea of what, but I've seen a lot of teams that have been racing for a lot of years, and I've seen the amount of things that they bring to the racetrack. And it's like, well, why don't you bring this, or why don't you bring that? Well, because we don't need to carry all that extra stuff, and it's all the small things that add up, right? So let's say you pick up a penny, okay, and you feel the weight of a penny. But now pick up 100 pennies and feel the weight of 100 pennies. Okay. So each individual penny that you go, oh, well, we might need that. It doesn't weigh much. We might need that. It doesn't weigh much. Well, now all those things combined, now they weigh a lot. Right. So the basic things, right? A lot of the small things, totally fine. If they fit in a box, one box of, hey, these are all the small things that could possibly go bad. We have them in this one box. And this is our extra spare stuff that we may need, we may not. With us, it's let's bring a set of front brake rotors. Let's bring, and by a set, I mean one set of front brake rotors. If we go through those two brake rotors, then we can always run, and it depends on the track too.
And the car.
In New Jersey, right? There's plenty of places where we can go.
Gingerman, probably not so much.
Right.
Well, or one of the car, or was it Buttonwillow, which is the one that's all the way out in like the middle of nowhere? You probably want to bring extra for that.
There's quite a few.
Well, it depends how far you've gone to the race.
Correct. But we look at, the basic things: spark plugs, wires, cap, rotor, distributor, fuel filter, fuel pump, all the basic necessities that, if they go bad, it's super easy, super simple. They're all small, they're all lightweight. But I'm not going to bring 4 sets of spark plugs. I'm not going to bring 4 distributors. I'm not going to bring, multiple of those things. If for some reason we use it and it goes bad again at the racetrack, we can always just run down and get it at a parts store. And that's the things that we've kind of, through the years, we've kind of been, okay, well, we don't ever have a problem with this really. So let's not bring it. If it does come up, we can run to the parts store and get it. Just because we're trying to minimize the weight that we are carrying to the racetrack and the amount of things we have to move at the racetrack and at home. And, it's a lot of extra work.
Mhm. Yeah. Getting also to a point of having stuff in your trailer that can stay in your trailer.
Mm-hmm.
What about stuff like that?
So honestly, with our trailer with El Jefe, the tools are in there. They stay in the trailer. All the spare parts, they just stay in the trailer, because when we're going to work on it, we pull it out and we take the spare parts out, and whatever we're replacing, we look through all our spares first. We use those spares, and then if we need to, if we think we're going to need it for the next race, we'll go get another set and bring it with us. If not, we'll just, we'll run to the parts store and pick something up. It's tough because you don't want to bring too much stuff to the track, but you don't want to forget the easy, simple things that are small. Like, let's say, for example, the clutch in El Jefe decided it wanted to leave the chat at New Jersey. Me personally, I would never bring a clutch to the track. Like for the vehicles that we drive and we use, clutches don't go bad very often, hardly ever. So
and even
that's
bad
something
is
that I
gradual.
would never.
Right.
What's that?
And even bad is usually gradual.
Right. Exactly. So that's something I would never think to put in the trailer. But you have to take your particular vehicle in mind as well. Some vehicles are easy on everything. Some vehicles are rough on certain things. Some so it all depends on what your team is experiencing in terms of what you bring for spares.
The other thing that I always take into consideration is if we have somebody coming from a distance, or we're going a distance, or we're renting a seat, I've got a higher responsibility to make sure they have a good weekend. So I'll overpack on those on purpose. Trying to cover the insurance of making sure that the weekend goes off as best we can.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that is part of your character, which is fantastic. You, my friend, are a people pleaser.
What?
And it's a fantastic thing. But you have to get to a point where you have to go, okay, well, we don't need to bring all this extra stuff.
Okay,
so what I'm hearing is I'm right and Vicky's wrong. Great segment.
This was never about right or wrong.
It's not about right or wrong.
It's not about right or wrong. It's about trying to find the right combination in between.
Mm-hmm.
Enough of stuff that brings what we have that's comfortable to the track and keeps us in a comfortable space, but also taking out the unnecessary stuff.
Right. And we've made the mistake.
I feel that there is unnecessary, and we go back and forth on that.
Right. And so I've taken things out that I've gone, oh, we're not going to need this. Well, the very next race, we needed it. So it went back in, just because, oh, well, we didn't have it. So we took it out because we hadn't used it. And now we actually need it. So you're going to run into those things a lot as well. I can't remember who said it to me, but it was, you can't bring everything to the racetrack. You would have to bring your entire garage or hangar or whatever, wherever you work on your car, you'd have to bring everything. And you just can't do that. You can't set up a whole complete garage at the racetrack. So you have to kind of figure out what your team needs, what your car needs or doesn't need, and then work from there.
Oh, even better is figure out what your friend team has and say, hey, I have quick jacks. I'll bring quick jacks if you bring if you bring the electrical.
And that can work absolutely perfect. You can not only paddock share, but you can also garage share with other teams in terms of, like, I always have my welder with me. So we have some friends that have stopped bringing their welder because they know I'm always going to have it, but they bring their engine stand. So I don't have to bring my welder and engine stand. They don't have to bring their welder and engine stand.
Right.
So they bring their engine stand. So if you're racing with the same people over and over, that can also be a factor to make it simpler for everybody.
I think what stood out with me is that when we had people racing in our car, one of them was an electrician, and he had all his electrical gear in the back of that car. So when we happened to have a wiring issue that weekend. And I tell you, he pulled all that stuff out, and he was set.
Yep.
Set. And then we have another one where
Jeremy had all his fasteners at pit race.
Yeah, friends of ours, and because of their car was a Honda, they have all the Honda parts. As in, like nuts and bolts and washers and all sizes, and they just have it all together because it was all Honda, and that all those parts were for that car, so they didn't have to rummage through a bunch of stuff that were not mixed and matched for the car.
Right, and organization is key as well.
Oh my gosh, guys out there, organization is huge when you're at a racetrack.
It is. It very much is.
I have solved the toolbox organization. Upcoming episode coming soon.
Yes. Yes. And it works out very well. And I will say it's very clean and very pretty.
The hard part is not organizing the tools, but having a tool organization system that will survive the travel to and from the track.
Right. That's the tough part.
That's hard. I think Bill finally has it.
I have it. I've spent so much time and money on this, but it's done. I'm giving it away for free, as always.
Now, let's talk about tires. Okay.
Yes.
Tires are big. Typically, they're heavy. Do you need to bring 4 sets of tires to the racetrack?
Yes, I do. Probably
not.
Yes, I do.
I think, depending on your vehicle, depending on who's driving it, if like the Honda tires are very small and very lightweight, the El Jefe now uses BMW wheels. So we bring 2 sets of tires to each race. We don't have ABS, so we hope and pray that we don't have someone that gets in the truck and flat spots the tires. So now we're like, oh, well, we only have 1 set, so you can't do that again.
So here's where I end up with tires. I got 1 set on a car, which is usually scrubbed or partially used. Then I have at least 1 sticker set. And then I have another sticker set of wet. And then I have a certain team structure that has lots of flat spots. So I have another set. That's where I get my 4 sets.
So my ideally is that if we are running a particular weekend when we have a new driver and we do not have ABS, I would bring an extra set in the event of a flat spot, because flat spots have happened. But I would not do that if it was just our race team, because our race team understands the car better.
Right. So so we bring 2 sets just to bring 2 sets. Realistically, we probably don't have to, because with the truck, and especially if you're running RS4s, I mean, those things will last 2 or 3 races.
Easy.
We honestly, we probably could get away with bringing 1 or 2 extra
tires,
wheel and tires, right? And that's it. We could probably get away with not bringing 4, but just bringing 2.
Right.
But I always like to just have that 1 extra set. Now, if you're running different types of tires, in case something happens. Like, I don't like the RS4s in the rain. I think they're absolutely horrific. My favorite tires are the Falcon RT615K pluses. Those are 100 times better than the RS4s in the rain. But with El Jefe, there's not much of a time difference, because it's really not a super fast vehicle.
But they wear really fast too, relative to RS4s.
Right. But with El Jefe, we run the RS4s. We bring the 615K pluses in case of rain, if we're going to get rain for a full day. Typically, the tires that are on the truck stay on the truck for the whole weekend, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it depends on your vehicle. If your vehicle is burning through tires, you may bring 2 sets plus 2 extras just in case. So again, it's something that's going to take time to figure out. There's not any perfect algorithm that works for everybody, and you have to figure it out over time with your team, with your car, with, all the variables that go into this. You have to weigh all those variables and figure out what works best.
I think, Bill, early on, we had tire issues. We had people flat spotting, and I think that's why he does it now.
They still do it.
Yeah. Well, not to the degree.
Right.
But we went through 7 tires at pit race.
But again, with the Civic, those tires are so small and they're so lightweight. If you have the room, bringing an extra set, really isn't going to make much difference. But again, you also have to figure out how to get what you need in the trailer and have it weighted correctly in the trailer.
That's
a separate episode.
Yes.
Yes, towing with the trailer and all that stuff. We'll get to that another time.
Yeah, if you think we don't know how to race cars, wait till you hear what we do when we're towing. It's amazing.
Right.
Oh God.
So bringing, I'm trying to be a simpler person in terms of the items and things that we bring to the racetrack. And like you said earlier, Vicki, you could always garage share with people, just like paddock sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes it simpler for everybody. Each person can bring less items, and you still have all of the things that you're going to need.
Right.
Yep. All right. I'm sure we'll return to this every time. Every time we pack the trailer.
Every time.
Jeremy will get a call from Vicki. Would you believe he's bringing?
And I'll say yes, because it doesn't go bad.
Exactly. Parts don't go bad, people. Parts don't go bad. All right. Very well. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you very much.